All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordana Armstrong, and I'm leading the Social Innovation Initiative here at Ventures. First, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who've joined us today for the next installment of the Startup Fundamentals Workshop series, both this live audience here with us today and those watching recorded on YouTube. This series is offered by Ventures in collaboration with MTech at the Clark School of Engineering and Digman Center for Entrepreneurship at the Smith School of Business at UMD. Shout out to all of you who are here today. To everyone attending live, please feel free to submit questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. This session is being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube series channel, so you may want to submit your questions anonymously, but you don't have to. This workshop is the third of a series we've introduced in response to over 50 of our own customer discovery interviews with innovators like yourselves on campus as a part of the Social Innovation Initiative under the VPRO and Ventures. So if you are an innovator on this call and you'd like to share your own perspectives about resources you'd like access to, more conversations you'd like to have as a part of this series, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Today, we're joined by Carolyn and Logan from Sigla Creative. Sigla is a strategic marketing agency supporting teams and founders from storytelling to digital design to overcome obstacles, build brands, and create wild and unimaginable change. The resume of these two is vast, and they're going to touch on their experience throughout the presentation. So without further ado, Carolyn, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Awesome. So nice to meet you all today. Carolyn Giron. I'm the founder and creative director of Sigla Creative. We're a woman-owned social impact creative agency in the Bay Area. I'm a lifelong creative and agency gal. I'm a 4-time published author and a UMCP grad, as is every member of my family. I am also a proud student of Professor James Thorpe from ArtSoc, who instilled in me a deep appreciation for social justice and utilizing creativity to solve world problems. Logan.
Great. Thank you, Carolyn. My name is Logan Brown. I'm the senior designer and partner at Sigla Creative. I'm not a alumna, sorry, but I am a University of Colorado graduate. I started my career in photojournalism, later led a 45-person team for Apple in sales and visual merchandising, and most recently, I've been an expert in tourism, small business, and direct-to-consumer marketing. Carolyn?
Awesome. Storytelling is very important. Having the receipts for your own storytelling and projects can accelerate your fund development goals and your brand awareness. The receipts prove out that you can do the work. And when we say receipts, we mean visual and tangible proof in the world that you are doing the thing and that there was a before and after, and what you did actually worked. What is storytelling and why do I need it? Storytelling means using narrative structures, compelling anecdotes from lived experience to communicate a company's or project's message, values, and brand identity to customers, employees, or stakeholders. Why should you do it? You want to ensure that your audience cares about your mission and build a deeper understanding of your mission beyond the goods and services part of your project or startup. By sharing your motivations and being human and true, you engage audiences emotionally in your journey, and in doing so, promote your project, build trust, and influence perception. Good storytelling creates relatability and engagement. Stories help you tap into emotions. They make you relatable and the information more memorable and impactful than just facts. Use case 1. It's the story of the Steves, Jobs and Wozniak, tinkering in a garage in Palo Alto and building the Apple prototype. It certainly sounds more of a hero's journey than a group of engineers doing the exact same thing in a spendy, shiny office in San Francisco who have just been funded. We think authentic stories matter and resonate. We always root for the strivers and the scrappy bastards who are working hard to get to the finish line. Another use case we resonate with is Sarah Blakely. She cut the legs off a pair of control top pantyhose and defied a boardroom of finance bros who failed to see the value proposition of women's shapewear. With $5,000 worth of savings, she launched Spanx and became one of the youngest U.S. billionaires and cornered the market on shapewear in the U.S. Women rewarded her with undying gratitude and sales.
So next will be about building brand. By sharing stories about the project or company's origins, mission, and values, customers can personally and emotionally connect with the brand. Building on what we talked about before with Apple, they have a cult following from the aesthetics to the ethos of what they stand for. Think different. The iconoclastic nature of Jobs permeates from that garage in Palo Alto to the shiny temples of the tech around the world. It's no accident that creatives like us use only Apple. We couldn't imagine using anything else. Persuasion, motivation, and action. Good stories motivate and inspire. They level up the customer experience aspirationally. Nike's Just Do It campaign is arguably one of the most successful of all time. Focused on getting you the gear and getting to that fitness. No excuses. Nike's claim, if you have a body, you are an athlete, includes everyone on this fitness journey. Internal communication. Storytelling can be used to motivate employees too, delineate project scope, and build consensus. It can teach you about what your project is and one day might be. We pivot all the time on project purpose once we lay it all out. Knowing what you do and why you do it helps you understand what it is and why you are doing that thing and communicate it to others. Visuals. So this next section is all about use cases and messaging and visuals from our company, Cyclic Creative, where there's a clear before and after we got involved. Think about how some of these might apply to some of the work you are doing. So this first one is one that's near and dear to us, and a project that we finished recently. This is for the American Cancer Society in Hawaii. We were tasked by the ACS to tell the photographic story of the Hope Lodge, a free hotel for people who are undergoing treatment for cancer in the California, Hawaii, and Pacific regions. It was two-parter. First, it was a photo shoot strategy, was to prove out the good works, leadership, people, and tangible benefits of the ACS and the Hope Lodge, and what they offer, providing the visual receipts for future funding and expansion. As well, we were tasked to build a brand for the 2024 Hope Lodge Gala, as well as the website and sponsor deck. This event raised $2.2 million, quadrupling the previous year's efforts. Sigla's portraits of the Hope Lodge guests were also auctioned at the gala and are now on permanent display in the lodge as a future hope for future guests. Next would be Outcast Activist Forum. They're a grassroots network of activists in Uganda stretching across the country and the continent. We met them at the LinkedIn Nonprofit Summit and quickly formed a partnership to update and tighten their branding and marketing to more accurately reflect their mission. OAF was founded by a group of like-minded people with an aim to bring about positive social change through its programs and policies, advocacy, and engagements with civil and non-civil societies and activists. They represent the voices of the people in Uganda advocating for their rights to digital access and education. This branding is launching early this year and will help OAF raise money both in Uganda and internationally. Carolyn?
Awesome. Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority is another client that was close to our heart and still is. We documented their story and helped them tell it. We bunked in for a week, documented every single thing they do, and now they have the receipts. We did everything from documenting their leadership, their people, some of their children's youth dance troops, community pillars, cultural artisans, and craftspeople and tribal elders. From this, they had the visual proof of what they do in society and with other tribes. They subsequently won a $2.4 million Bezos Day One Fund to further their mission of hope, healing, and housing. Roadmap for Revolutionaries. This is my personal little baby. On November 6, 2016, I had a book idea to show how to simplify the principles of democracy into a field guide modeled after the Girl Scout Handbook, because democracy is complicated. And joined by Elisa Camahort Page and Jamia Wilson, my author team, we pitched to publishers with a tightly designed book proposal, sample chapter, and promo plan. This shows you are serious and that the book is in ready state to publish. Penguin Random House and 10 Speed Press took us on as an author team, and what resulted was this guidebook on engaging in effective day-to-day activism and advocacy at all levels, aimed at people who want to act but don't know what to do next. Roadmap for Revolutionaries uses checklists, interviews, infographics, illustrations, and case studies to showcase the tools for making the changes you want to see in society and government, and provides the resources you need to feel more safe, empowered, and invested in the American experiment. We presented at South by Southwest, the Commonwealth Club, and Blog Her, and we were also blurbed by Gloria Steinem. Black Voter Registration Day. Last year was a big year for the election, and we knew we needed to get involved. So we asked our friends at Hype Media, which is a Black-owned media entertainment and news group located in Atlanta, Georgia, what we could do. Their response: help us promote Black Voter Registration Day in Georgia. We blasted this all over social media. We did the illustrations, the copywriting, and the design. Through this project, we met one of the organizers, Representative Rhonda Taylor of Conyers, Georgia, and she is a shero. From Representative Rhonda, we met the ACLU-GA, and from there, it's a domino effect. So basically, this is a use case for working your network to make bigger things happen in the world.
Like Carolyn said, from that campaign led to another one that we were privileged to be a part of. And this is the Georgia Voter Outreach Campaign. So working with Georgia Representative Rhonda Taylor, she coordinated this activation with the ACLU in Georgia and our team at Hype Media. And this campaign is a great example of what can be done with little to no money. In this case, for this project, we used free stock photography, our own writings, and the social media networks to amplify our message to a much wider audience than perhaps possible normally. So in this particular campaign, we ran 8 ads to highlight get out the vote, voter suppression, voter intimidation, gerrymandering, youth vote, and climate disaster voting. The next was guerrilla tactics.
So how do you do all this stuff on a budget? Because budgets are going to get smaller as life goes on. Let's not kid ourselves. We don't think promoting yourself has to be expensive, but it does require time and some planning. The effort you invest is directly related to the results you achieve. We have created a guide titled A Quick Guide to DIY Project Branding and Storytelling as a gift for all of you to share some of our strategies used for our paying clients. You can apply these simple agency grade steps to enhance your awareness of yourself as a professor or a university employee or your projects. Step 1 is know thyself. So we use this term a lot in Silicon Valley, and it's where I live. And it's get into the habit of describing your project as if you were explaining them or your project to your grandmother. Would she understand what you do if you used as few technical or jargony terms as possible? Aim to develop your MVP, or a minimal viable product, in 3 sentences, and then again in 1 sentence to succinctly convey what you do, why you do it, and why they should care. This exercise can be beneficial for both your role as an academic and for your specific project. Clearly communicating complex projects and the problems they solve to potential investors and audiences is crucial for getting funded. Step 2, dream it into existence. Because we're a creative agency, we definitely live in Tomorrowland, but we do believe that you should always design and communicate your project in the present tense. Your project is real because you created it, so act accordingly. Funding doesn't make it real. Your creation of it does. Once you establish your project's brand, website, messaging, and promotional plan, it becomes visible and tangible to others. This visibility makes it understandable and attractive to investors and funders. You need to believe in your project first, then persuade others of its viability. This is not magic. It's a combination of belief and hard work, and yes, receipts.
So your receipts. So We keep talking about this throughout this presentation, but it really makes a difference. We've seen it work for our clients. So nowadays, the easiest way to document your good work is the camera that we all carry with us. So document everything and explore all the features of your camera app, including filters. Prepare your shot in advance for better results by choosing simple backgrounds and avoiding harsh lighting. When photographing a group, take multiple shots to ensure at least one is great. If you're speaking at an event, have a colleague capture photos, as the event photographers there often take thousands of images, making it hard for you to get the ones from them that you want. Next, step 4 is DIY creative. Now we've got some homework assignments for you professors. First, learn how to use Canva and your phone's photo app. We're going to talk a little bit more about Canva in our gift guide that you're going to get later. Number 2, write a press release and send it out to the media. Aim to become a subject matter expert that journalists can rely on when they have story deadlines. Number 3, monitor your industry colleagues on LinkedIn and observe how they market their projects, programs, and initiatives. Number 4, document everything you do. Keep track of your press coverage, academic papers, and mentions. Collect printouts, screenshots, and links to all relevant material. Number 5, learn how to post and tag on social media, even if you're uncomfortable with it. You got to start somewhere. Number 6, involve others in your success by including them in your achievements, panels, and projects. And number 7, partner with influential figures and leverage their pathways to success. Step 5, use the tools you have. You don't need to be a professional photographer to achieve impressive results. If you have a phone with camera capabilities, you can document your experiences in the world around you. Whether you're at a significant event, speaking at a panel, or engaging with a world leader, it's important to capture these moments for your departments and universities' publications, as well as for your own website and project presentations. For more in-depth guidance, we go in-depth more on this in our DIY guide that we're going to talk about in just a moment. We also include a bunch of other tools that we use on a daily basis, both in our own company and with our clients. So we keep talking about it. Let's get to it. So if you go to our website, sigleycreative.com, and then you put /UMCP, you can have for free a quick guide to DIY project branding and storytelling, which is a more in-depth version of this webinar. 14 pages long of really in-depth materials, expanding on everything that we've talked about in today's call. And we want to be able to give it away to you for free. All you have to do is when you go to that site, just put in your email, and then we'll send you an email with instructions to download it. All right. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. We want to hand it off back to Jordana for a little bit of Q&A, and we'll go from there. I think I saw a few that came up in the call while we were talking.
Yeah, so the first was about the slides, and I've responded to Andrea on that. Terry wondered, in terms of voter advocacy, why didn't it work? I think we were all wondering that. And we'll get to that one in a second. I want to kick us off. So just a reminder, in terms of Q&A, you're welcome to drop something directly into the chat. You can also ping me, and I can take you off mute so that you can share your voice with us in this conversation. And then there is a Q&A function at the bottom as well, if you prefer to submit your question anonymously. How about in terms of getting us kicked off for the Q&A while folks are thinking about their questions? And thank you again for the presentation. I think creativity can be a little bit of a sensitive topic for a lot of folks. Some people see themselves as creative, some people don't see themselves as creative. So when you're thinking about unpacking creative confidence and taking your first steps into this type of work, documenting your work along the journey and starting to create your own copy, where do folks start? Or how do you encourage folks to get over that hump of let's call it creative lack of confidence some of us have?
I totally feel you. And by the way, I was a college professor for about a year, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And every day you're on stage. So I know that it takes a lot of energy to be a college professor and an academic. Kicking off creativity, how to get in touch with it. One of the main things that I always tell our self-described non-creative clients, and everyone's creative, I believe, on some level, is start to keep a file of the things you like. Start to keep a file of the colors that resonate for you. the ads you like, the brands you like. I always suggest that people hunt in their own industry. If you're into oceanic science or whatever your subject is, you should be plundering what people are doing visually in your industry and collect them, because you want to look like you're in the same group of thinkers. And I think that every industry kind of has their own look. Like Silicon Valley has a very clean, stripped, streamlined, kind of Apple Temple of Technology look. See what you like and start collecting them so that you have a visual reference library of things you can pull into your own creative journey when it's time. As well, sometimes people are saying very intelligent things on LinkedIn and you like the way they're communicating. I always save those posts. I always grab them and I keep them because I'm like, that person speaks very confidently about their new project and the way they are presenting the stages of their project. I want to keep this as a use case for the future. And I call that the beg, borrow, and steal piece. There is nothing wrong with collecting inspiration for your own creative journey. And then finally, many people aren't sure what their message is, and it's a daunting task to sit down to a blank piece of paper and ask yourself, what is my message? What does my project do? And we have a whole section on that in our DIY guide on how to get to the brand essence of what your project is, why it's relevant, why people should care, and why it's fund-worthy. Does that answer the question, or do you need more?
That's wonderful. I appreciate that. And thank you, Logan, for dropping the link to the DIY guide again in the chat.
Yep. No problem.
Give folks a couple of minutes, but I always have more questions, especially when we have experts like you folks on the call.
Oh, and also as far as the slides, we're happy. We'll send you the presentation today. So what you've seen today, in addition to the gift guide, we will send your way.
Wonderful. Appreciate that, Caroline.
Mhm.
You ended the last question by mentioning messaging, and I'd be curious for this audience. A lot of folks are talking to different types of audiences. So you might be wanting to engage students to work on your project. You might be wanting to engage partner academics to collaborate. You may also be speaking to different types of funders, whether they be government or foundations, and those audiences hear messages a little bit differently. Do you have any recommendations on where people start in terms of understanding their audience and tweaking their message? Or, do you recommend having a standard set of messages that you just kind of repeat? Or how do you think about audience?
I think first off, before you even go out there, you need to know who you are. And I think it's a very good idea to have a brand intake with yourself. And we have a whole use case for that in our guide, but it's basically having a colleague interview you on what do you do, why do you do it, what's your MVP, what is your simple explanation for what you do, what's your academic explanation for what you do, if you were talking to your grandmother, what's that explanation, and have them interview you for 90 minutes and then run it through Otter, and then you will have an ad campaign, a tagline, a mission statement. Your why will be in there. And we do this all the time with our clients. And they said, I had no idea that those are our brand truths. And I said, well, you said it. I didn't say it. We're just the midwife. You're the passionate creator of this idea. This idea belongs to you. You just needed someone to help take it out of you. And so do that first. When you do that first, you know exactly who you are. Then you figure out what your competition's doing, and everyone's competition. If there's someone in your industry and they're getting a book deal or they're getting funded to do an Arctic expedition, Maybe that should be you. What are they doing that's getting them funded? Can you beg, borrow, steal from what they're doing and take some of that pixie dust and bring it into what you're doing? And then observe the audiences of your industry and mimic and learn and iterate and then create different textual products that you will keep in an organized folder. We use Apple Notes for all this stuff, where you have, this audience is the bio, this audience is a different bio, this audience is a different about, and it has different language.
Really
But it's
appreciate
the same
that.
message. Yeah.
And thank you for breaking that down in the guide, which we'll send out to folks. So in the chat box, we've got a question from Paul. For boring engineer consultants working on other people's technical problems, how can we even begin to tell our stories, since it is mostly dealing with inanimate objects like pumps, air conditioning units, etc.?
Honestly, there's no, in our minds, well, I mean, this is our job, right? In our minds, nothing is boring. There is always a compelling angle to every role. I mean, there's a reason, likely the reason that you got into what you do and that you have a passion for it. And it's our job to unearth what that passion is and be able to tell that story. I
And
think what Carolyn was talking about with the interviewing yourself or having someone interview you, if you start drilling down into what it is that you do and why you do it and why you feel compelled to keep doing it, you'll find the ways to make pumps and valves interesting, and be able to sell your role to other people.
And I just wanted to mention that I don't believe engineers are boring, Paul. My dad went to the University of Maryland Engineering School, and he went on to do all sorts of, projects for the U.S. Navy. And I have a huge respect for engineers. I'll also go back and quote my beloved professor, James Thorpe, who in class one day, he showed us a copy of Industrial Launderer magazine. And it was beautiful. It looked like something out of the Museum of Modern Art. And he said, "Okay, kids, let me explain something to you. There's no such thing as bad clients or projects, only bad designers." And I never forgot that. So I believe every project has relevance. I believe every project has interest. And I think it's our job as creatives to find the golden nugget that's relevant to an audience and promote it.
And so what I'm hearing in summary is tapping into your own connection to why you do what you do through that, you've provided one of those techniques of ways that folks can do it. And then also, even in these kind of boring spaces, not negating that, humans like beautiful things. So you can make engineering pamphlets that look beautiful and still resonate. And I think you might have something to add, but Paul had a follow-up, and then Lillian will get to your question, which is, but how do you create that emotional connection? I think you've sort of touched on it, but if you have anything to add.
I think on the emotional side, it's if you're passionate about your subject and your subject is a pillar out there in the world, if it's like an industry pillar, you will find other people who are passionate about that too. And I think what people really care about is new ways of doing things, innovations that save time, money, energy, human suffering, even if it's a valve on a stove, if it saves energy. The point is, if you can showcase how it iterates, how it improves, always keeping your mind on how it improves and how it alleviates suffering of any type, even if it's impatience or shaving minutes off your morning. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're doing something that was better than before, and that you have to remember to be in the mind state of before and after.
And I'll just add to that it's all about finding why other people should care about what you do, whatever that is. And I think that really ties into what Carolyn said.
Yep.
Lillian asked, how can we network to industries we want to market to? How often should we reevaluate strategies? Good question.
It depends. Well, what we're doing, I'll give you a Sigla use case. We were going to fly back east for the nonprofit technology conference, which I'm totally going to do next year. But we decided that in the interest of time, money, energy, and also leveraging our localism, that we were going to focus on the Bay Area and also the state of California, because it's easier for us to get to more things. And the more you show up, because showing up in life is everything, the more you're visible. And we recently, a week ago, we found out that Logan and I, our agency, and I'll be I guess the figurehead, but we were accepted into the climate-based fellowship cohort for 2025. And as a result, there's going to be a lot of activity around SF Climate Week, which is coming up in April. And there's lots of people flying into the Bay. There's hundreds of different events. And to get back to your question, we are focusing on local events we can attend inexpensively, that we can attend all the time. There's easy to get to. I'm going to volunteer the event, so I'm visible. I'm also on the cohort. So Logan and I are designing all sorts of stuff for it. So we're also going to be presenting a capstone project for demo days. So like, take an event and just know how to squeeze a dime for that investment, that you're going to get the most out of it. Figure out who's going to be there. If there's going to be, say you're an environmental scientist and there's an environmental science conference, find out the keynote speakers, get a meeting with them, reach out months in advance, get on their schedule, make sure that you're invited to the right parties if you can, make sure that you are networking with the right groups, make sure that you're members of the right groups to get invited to those events. I mean, it's really just about keeping up on your industry and not spreading yourself too thin, which is why sometimes you need to cancel a conference. Like, I'm not going to go to the one on the East Coast because I'm focusing on California. That was a decision we made 2 weeks ago. So it's not like you're doing it like every quarter you're deciding. That's not a bad idea. But as opportunities come in, i.e. the climate-based fellowship, you might pivot and say, we're focusing solely on this thing because it's going to be very good for our agency and also for our industry and also for climate, which we really care about.
And I would just add to the second point of Lillian's question about like how often should we reevaluate? I mean, as an agency, we're doing that constantly. But there's never a set time. It's like, and now we're going to reevaluate. We are constantly looking for where the puck's going to be. We're constantly skating to where the puck's going to be rather than where it is. And for us, I mean, we've been in business now for a few years, and there's kind of been phases, but they haven't been set lengths of time. We just are finding that a lot of projects come at our feet that are maybe thematically similar, and so then that's where we are focusing our energy. And for 2025, for us, that seems to be environment. So that is where we are seeking out additional opportunities, reaching out to our network, figuring out where are there ways that we can expand in that. And then, if those things start seeming to come down, then we're going to start looking at what's next. I think that's the best way to handle it, is seeing where your industry or your area is at. And then if things seem to be fading, then reevaluate your strategies.
Building on Lillian's question, sparked a question for me, which is, what are some of your industry insider tips or tricks in terms of signals that this group can be looking for that their strategy or even their tactics are working? I think some of them might be obvious, but would be curious about some things that you look at in your own work in terms of, oh, this seems like it's working. This may not be.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of this in the guide. There's going to be a significant amount of homework that the professors are going to need to do, because if you're ready to engage, it means you have all of your tools ready to engage. And when I mean that, I mean you have all of your bios written, for every aspect of your industry, all of your headshots ready to go, all of your shots of you standing with, important academics or Bill Clinton or whoever, just have them all in your assets library ready to go. It will take you a Saturday to get this together. You want to make sure that you have all of your event paneling photos and event descriptions and links, have it all ready to go. Because the more relevant you are in your space, the more ready you are to be ready when the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or Nat Geo calls you for an interview. And you should also make yourself very confident with pitching the press. You can learn how to write a press release on YouTube. And press releases aren't written by, these amorphous PR people. They can be written by you. They're not hard to write. I mean, you all write all day long. You just got to get in the habit of writing in a particular way, all in one page. And, check with your PR department at University of Maryland, like, hey, I'm sending this out to the Washington Post I'm a subject matter expert in this subject. I want to be a part of this article series. Get out there and get in the habit of being that subject matter expert.
And on that
And you can
note,
write a press release. Oh, I just want to say one thing. You can write a press release for any reason. This is kind of back to the dream it into existence. I mean, you don't have to have like something done already. You can be like, Professor Jaron has released a new statement on, but you can make the point is you can make a press release on just the idea that you're stepping out into the field to be the expert, to let people know that you are there at the University of Maryland as an expert in your field.
And you have something
And that'll
newsworthy
get
to
you on.
announce. You have something
Yeah.
newsworthy to announce. You found something out. It's important. It's something relevant to the conversation that's going on today. And cultivate your relationships with journalists, because journalists remember, they have full-time jobs too. They got to crank out the news. They want people they can rely on, that they can trust. They want subject matter experts that they can always call. And you want to be that person for a newsroom.
and the piece I was just going to add is for folks who are here from the UMD community, the Office of Research Communications, the Director of Marketing and Communications, they do one-to-one coaching with folks if they do need support on their communication strategies. And they also will come in and do workshops for groups, as does SIGLA. So this is another great group that you can reach out to for that type of support. I think what I'll do is we'll pause the Q&A here. We'll pause the webinar here, and just want to say thank you to Sigla Creative for coming in and sharing your expertise, and for that colossal effort of putting together, a tailored set of activities that folks can work through to take their first steps. I imagine your information is also included within that. So open invitation to reach out and explore how Sigla can support your work and your storytelling journey. As you can see, they've done excellent work with a vast array of type of social entrepreneurs and social innovators all across the country. So thank you again, folks. We're not going to wrap up the webinar completely, but I'm going to allow folks who might have project-specific questions to come off mute without the recording. So big thanks to you again, Caroline and Logan. Any last words?
We're just very
I think
honored
so.
to be able to be there for the university. I love University of Maryland. My whole family does. My dad has a University of Maryland rug in the living room. It's next level. And I'm just really happy that we were able to be here for you. And anything you need, please reach out. We're here for you.
Wonderful.